Ladies and gentlemen, so a thing happened right now as we're recording, and I didn't even know this was a thing. But apparently, you can trade during the playoffs. I didn't know this was a thing. I'm assuming this is a trade in principle until the offseason opens, but nonetheless, we're back here, Debate Amongst Friends. I'm Dr. Wednesday Night, the podcast beast. And alongside me is always that guy over there, the Professor John Gotti, the king of RNG, the troll master, the data analyzing ninja, the conqueror of his own fate, and the official cleaner.
The best podcasting machine.
John Gotti, what's going on, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. What a blockbuster. What a Woj bomb
Woj bomb.
to hit
Which I was
us
curious.
on a Friday morning.
I was curious if like us saying bomb was was it too much? Because it's like I was like when I text you about the other news, I was like, should we continue to use bomb? Like, I'm so like skeptical now. Like that's why I was like, you know, Woj explosion or
I
Woj
think Woj bomb has a
dropping.
better. It comes with
Okay,
a theme better.
it does.
I think if
Woj
it was
bomb, it
10
is.
years ago, it would probably be a problem. But now
You
I
got
think we're probably past that. I
flagged
think
so
we're
many
probably
times.
past that. Yes.
But anyway, the Boston Celtics in Brad Stevens' first, a month as the new general manager of the Celtics has traded Kemba Walker away with their 2021 first round pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a package that's going to bring Al Horford back to the actual Celtics. So Al Horford, Moses Brown, who's also a prospective big. He has some skill. I know he definitely showed some flashes of potential with OKC this particular year, and a 2023 second rounder going to Boston. Moses Brown is best known, which is not cool, but there's a gif that goes around where there's a player that puts his head down and the other player goes and lifts it up. That's Moses Brown. UCLA Bruin. But yeah, I'm so shocked to see. Well, I'm not shocked to see Kemba Walker going. I'm just shocked to see today, out of all days, Friday, June 18th, 2021, Kemba Walker has been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We don't know if they're going to flip him or do they pair him with SGA.
I don't know because he still has that $53.5 million on his contract, 2 years left on it. So
here's the thing.
It's kind of hard to like keep flipping that. maybe
Here's a
if
guy.
it was just 1 year left, maybe I can see them probably doing that. But
so here's a guy. Here's a team. Here's a franchise.
A franchise.
I think the Thunder have a lot of cap because I think this year they took on a lot of those expiring deals, and I think Al Horford might have been one of them. But when you look at them, I think the only big name person that they're paying is Sean Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that's it. That's it.
Yep.
So they could keep him, or I mean, if they flip this guy for another first round pick, man, I mean, I'm just gonna give this Sean Presti. I think it's Presti still down there. I'm just gonna go ahead and give him the award for GM of the year right now because, I mean, how many first round picks did we just say?
So
before the show,
right now,
yeah,
they have the number 4 pick, 16, 18, 35, 36, and 55. But wait, there's potentially more.
Hopefully less.
They had the possibility to steal Doc's Houston Rockets pick if it drops to number 5. So I believe the consensus is it has to be top 4 protected. Exactly.
Yeah, it's top 4 protected. So it's top 4 protected, and then if the Rockets keep the pick this year, then the Thunder get unprotected pick next year. That's how it would work.
Exactly.
So, and I think the Rockets have a chance to get 2 picks with either keeping this one and they would get a chance to keep the Trailblazers pick. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's how it works. So the Thunder have endless amounts of picks. I mean, I could see them maybe moving up. You have Kemba, you have some other, players. Um, Obviously, I think the Celtics bringing in some bigs because I feel like that's kind of what they were missing in the playoffs. Some veterans, some bigs. Y- yeah, I mean, obviously Taco Fall is not, your prime starter just yet. If he ever
No,
will
he's
be,
still no, he's still a project.
yeah, he's still working project. But you bring in somebody like Al Horford, you bring in Moses Brown, like I said, another prospect. You pick up a second round pick for next year, and you kind of move on from that big contract of Kemba. You take probably less years on the Al Horford deal, and you kind of move on from there. But yeah, I'm pretty shocked about that one. But it seems like Woj for the last 24 to 48 hours has just been oozing with shock factor as he dropped another bomb in coach Rick Carlisle for the Dallas Mavericks, not returning after 13 seasons. Prof, what the bleep is going on?
He was like, "Forget you guys. I'm
I'm,
going home."
I'm going to take my ball and I'm going home. The man who I always thought looked like a doppelganger of an older Jim Carrey, Rick Carlisle, stepping down. Yeah, liar, liar. That's right. Um, you can you can go on tilt if you need to. I said it. I
He
meant it to.
was the third coach, current active coach with the longest tenure in the NBA
Right.
as of right now. Well,
So
as
the question is,
of course, yesterday morning.
so in my opinion, I immediately thought, man, this must be about Porzingis. Maybe him and Mark Cuban aren't seeing eye to eye about Porzingis, but rumor has it that it's about him and Luca. Even though I don't see why um, he would have a problem with Luca, but not just Carlisle, but also Donnie Nelson
Mm-hmm.
has left the Mavericks as well. So it seems like they're doing a regime change,
I,
and I wouldn't.
I think they kind of needed to do that. Like
I was gonna
they're kind of hit
say
that cap.
I was gonna say that, but at the same time, I wasn't giving Rick Carlisle, the normal Marvin Lewis or Jeff Fisher treatment because
No,
I feel like Rick Carlisle has changed with the culture. He hasn't tried to do the same thing that he did. Like when Jerry Sloan went out, right? When he brought in new players, I think in his mind he still wanted to run a pick and roll system. Like he really wanted to stick with it. Greg Popovich, the only reason his system still works is because it's predicated on actually playing defense and ball movement. So
and I was gonna say ball movement was a big one.
yeah, so it's like he's not focused on ISO ball, and that's probably why Kawhi wanted out because Kawhi probably wanted ISO ball. So it's like for a team like the Celtics, when we talked about Bradley Stevens, the good thing about him moving up is that we don't have to go through this whole idea of him getting fired. But even his offense was kind of starting to get stale. So with Rick Carlisle leaving, I'm curious who they're going to bring in. A lot of people are automatically talking about Dirk. Some people are talking about Jason Kidd, I've seen, which I'm really over the Jason Kidd rumors. I think this would
I
have been a perfect. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Basketball Examiner on Twitter said something really interesting the other day. After the Rick Carlisle fire, and of course the Rick Carlisle coaching rumors immediately afterwards. And he
Hmm.
basically said, we do need some young blood as far as coaching in the NBA, which I completely agree with. I don't
No, I
think
hear
Jason
you.
Kidd should get another coaching opportunity. I think he should spend a few more years as an assistant
Yeah,
to earn that. Um, I mean, we already talked about, Becky Hammond, Teresa Weatherspoon. Like,
true.
we talked
As
about
long as they
those.
don't freaking bring in Stan Van Gundy or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that. I don't want to see that. Like
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we need newer people.
honestly, I could see. I mean, I hate it, but I could see. I could see them bringing in Mike D'Antoni. I don't want it,
But we
they'll
can
probably
see
have to
it.
get rid
I
of.
can see it too.
Yeah, because of the way Luca plays. I think if you put Luca in a 7-second offense with freaking Hardaway, you might have to move on from KP because he wouldn't fit unless he runs and actually
Well,
puts up
he's gonna
a
run.
freaking
He's just
shot.
gonna keep throwing up threes. The problem with KP isn't the fact that he can't shoot. He can obviously shoot. It's you're 7 foot and you don't
Right.
want to get
You
into
ain't
the
get
paint.
no. Yeah, nothing, not at all. Um,
which
so that's the
which
other
is
thing.
which is quite the segue
It is a good segue.
into Game 6 of the Eastern Semis. The Brooklyn Nets heading to Milwaukee. Milwaukee in a do or die situation. Doc, I said the other day, Chris Middleton's going to be that person.
Well, that was yesterday.
That's what I said the other day.
Yeah, yesterday. That was
Yeah.
yesterday. You said it. Yeah, you said
Yeah.
it. And honestly, there's nothing really I could say. We both thought it was over. It's just not working. Whatever they're doing is not working. And the Bucks didn't play fantastic,
They
but
did not.
luckily, the Nets played horribly.
Horribly.
Um, so if the Nets go home, it would be, to quote Vince McMahon, the Nets screwed
The
the
Nets.
Nets.
Now, we know we have the Game 7, but of
Right.
course the hot takes are going to be like, how much of the blame was on KD?
Well, KD took some bad shots yesterday. He had a whole bunch of turnovers. He had 7 turnovers yesterday, and they all looked terrible. All of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
of
turnovers
course.
usually don't look. Turnovers always look bad, but these looked really bad. And it didn't look great. He still scored 32 points, had 11 rebounds, but the turnovers looked James Harden-esque.
Yeah, which of course James Harden also contributed 4 turnovers himself.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad, and you could tell he's not 100%. And I really think it's cornrow Harden. I don't really like cornrow Harden
Oh boy,
personally,
better
but
be careful with that one.
yeah, I'm not really feeling it. But they didn't really get a lot of production from other people. I seen Joe Harris out there shooting up bricks. Blake Griffin played really, really well for what they're asking him to do. But as far as everybody else, I didn't really see like any other really good participation from the bench. No real contribution. So it
and
just
you
didn't look
mentioned
good.
DeAndre Jordan, how they should have at least put him out there because he didn't play a single minute.
Yeah, I feel like DeAndre Jordan is. I hate that he's not playing. Like I feel like he can still give quality minutes to a team, and I hate to see him on the bench just clapping. Like I don't like it. It just makes me feel weird, I guess. But on the other end here, the Brooklyn Nets gave the Milwaukee Bucks a lot of trouble, but the Milwaukee Bucks gave themselves a lot of trouble.
Yes, in this game, they
Um,
actually, so obviously they're a fan of the show
of course,
because they obviously started to utilize Zach, what we were saying. You have two
not as
seven
much as they
footers,
should have. Not as much as they
not
should
as much
have,
as
but
they
they
should have,
did.
of course, but they utilized, Giannis in the post, and he was
Hmm.
able to kick it out, and Chris Middleton hit his shots.
Twice back to
That's
back.
that's pretty much how the game went.
Hmm.
Giannis dropped 30. He had 17 rebounds and only 3 assists. Chris
Hmm.
Middleton contributed a double-double with 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, even 5 steals too, which of course contributed
Hmm.
to the whole KD giving up a lot of turnovers too, which was really,
Hmm.
really bad. And then Drew
Hmm.
Holiday had himself a pretty good game too, despite the fact that he only went 1 for 10 from three.
Right. And the only reason I feel like he went 1 for 10 for three and even 8 for 21 from the field is because he kept doing step backs.
Yeah.
His step backs were looking flat. They were all hitting the front of the rim. Um, I think the problem that I saw yesterday, and if they fix this, they should be able to win this series. If they fix this, and that is
Mm-hmm.
if you have Giannis out there and anyone, I think, like you said, anyone 6'8" and under is on them. Just throw it down there,
Just throw it down there.
And for Giannis, who I know is potentially battling a hip injury, he can't. bail them out unless that mid-range is hitting. He can't bail them out with that mid-range. He's got to put pressure and drive that lane.
Yep.
So that's the one thing I would say that I saw. And Brook Lopez needs to work it more. I saw the Nets trying to work KD. KD's on freaking Drew Holiday, and he's fronting KD, and he's doing a heck of a job, you know. And to me, I'm like, KD's he's gotta win this.
KD pretty much played what 88 minutes the past 2 games.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I can't get mad at him. He's freaking exhausted. Like, he's out. He's trying to will the team to win.
Yeah,
which is why I'm like, again, I can't put all the blame on KD because he's out there trying to make it happen.
But see, at that point, when you're on Drew Holiday, you got to win.
Of course,
you got to win that.
No excuse you
have to win that. Yeah, that's the only thing I would say. Like, he's exhausted, but you're on the floor. You're playing against Drew Holiday. At that particular moment, you got to win because I see Giannis playing Harden, and then I see, Giannis playing against, whoever, and I'm like, okay. I give credit to PJ Tucker. He does a great job against Durant. But of course, everybody wants to see Giannis versus KD. That's what they want to see. I don't think KD personally is a great defender. So a lot of people are challenging him, saying, why isn't he playing Giannis? I personally don't think KD is a great defender.
I feel like people want to say that just because the team lost. Like, whenever the Bucks lose in this series, people go, well, how come Giannis is not faced off against KD? And then when the Nets lose, well, how come KD's not going? Like, this casual mindset of, well, the star player has to defend the star player. Like, stop it. Like, this isn't how the NBA is played anymore. You don't have star players defending up against other star players.
Right, but I also feel like that they don't have to do that. I mean, that's why you bring in PJ Tucker.
Exactly.
Honestly, you saw the lack of defense from James Harden against Middleton. It was 6 points before the end of that quarter that they gave up 2 back-to-back threes. That was huge. And even the end of the third quarter when he rushed down and hustle play beat the buzzer, I thought that was a huge momentum swing as well.
Yep.
So to me, it's hustle play. It's hustle play. It's hustle play. Maybe it's time to, kick the tires again on some of these other players because, Shamet, cold. Joe Harris, cold. Mike James, maybe bring Mike James in to play a little bit. Bring Nicholas Claxton in. He played a lot during the season. Maybe it's time to bring these guys off the bench. Tyler Johnson was a deep ball threat in Phoenix for years. Bring him in. It might just be time because people are cold, and at this juncture, you don't have time to be cold.
I saw what you did there.
But we got some games tonight, Royal. We got Atlanta and Philly. We got Utah and the Clippers. Philly, Philly. I don't know. They could very well be out if they do what they did the other night. It's over. Not even giving up the lead. I mean, and it's not even about the free throws. Like, come on.
Although that did actually hurt.
It did, but like we said yesterday, it was like we're talking about 10 points. He missed 10 free throws. We're talking about 10 points.
Yeah.
They gave up 20 something. So it's a big deal, but it's not the only deal.
Of course.
We talked about the other contributing factors. So we'll see who wins those games. Clippers, Utah. Do I think Paul George will go crazy again? It's not like he can't. The question is, will he? It's not about skill. It's about will. It's not about skill. It's definitely about will. And Marcus Morris, will he be able to show up again? That's what we'll find out tonight.
We will find out. But do you have any of these teams closing out the series, Doc? And if so, which one?
That's what I was saying. I'll make a generic statement and say one of them will close out. I don't think both of these games. I don't think all these games are going to go to 7, but I can't tell which one. It could be both of them. It could be none of them, but I believe it'll be one.
Fair enough.
I just made a huge blanket statement.
Fair enough. He went.
But lastly,
on us, folks.
But lastly, and that's good. PC is a good segue right before we close out here, as Zion Williamson and his family, or mostly his family,
It was mainly
we
his
don't
family. It
know.
wasn't him. He didn't
Don't
actually
yeah, we
put
don't
in a
know.
direct statement.
Yeah, we don't know. They would like him to leave the Pelicans and go to a different team. It says via The Athletic that Zion Williamson and his family are not happy due to the fact that New Orleans management hasn't been putting together the right players around Zion, and that
You,
certain family members,
you know how I
certain,
feel. You know how I feel about that statement. If we don't have a direct quote from Zion, I don't believe it.
right. Well, see, what The Athletic did was they went back and took the quote he had from the draft. So that's how they
See,
see.
exactly.
Yeah. So they're saying
He never wanted to go to New
earlier.
Orleans.
So actually, not only just the draft, but then I think earlier in the year, this year, he said he spoke how they obviously a lot of people speak highly of playing in New York.
Of
Right,
course.
New York is the mecca of basketball. That's what everybody says. He loves playing in New York. He played in New York, I guess,
I mean,
in
it is. It's
college.
just that the team that resides there doesn't win.
Right, but he said outside of New Orleans, New York might be his favorite place to play. I think he likes playing in New Orleans. It might just be the players, and I can't lie, they're not. I mean, it's a good team. I think Brandon Ingram is a great player. I'm not sure if they keep Lonzo Ball
But you
because I
don't
know he's
see them
gonna.
as a team that goes deep in the playoffs, though.
I think Brandon Ingram and Zion, they can form a tandem that we see similar to Boston. Um, I think what they have in Boston, I don't know, because those two guys are really good in
Yeah,
Boston.
I was
They can
about to say,
score it
like,
up.
you really gonna
Zion
make
is
that claim? Because like, I will clip
Brand,
this. I will clip this moment.
Brandon Ingram can do it. We know he can do it. And Zion, Zion can put up some buckets. Maybe not as consistently, but Zion is the type of guy that I think will get better. Hopefully the dunks we don't see, a reemergence of like Sean Kemp. Hopefully we see a reemergence of like a Larry Johnson, who develops that outside shot and really finds different ways to score as he gets older, because that's what it's going to take for Zion since he has such a big frame.
Yes.
Um, but I don't know. I think I wouldn't personally probably re-sign Lonzo. I probably would let him go because I think they could use that money somewhere else.
Where do you think
Um,
uh, Lonzo would go though?
Lonzo, hmm, who needs a point guard? I'm not sure where Lonzo would
Who
go.
needs a point guard? That's a
Yeah, huge statement, right? I think Lonzo probably would go. It's got to be a big market team. He wouldn't go to a small market team. So
it'll be the Knicks actually.
you think so? The,
It'll be the
the
Knicks.
Knicks don't really
Yes, we do.
need
We
Lonzo.
we
Oh, you
we
do?
we need a point guard.
I
We
think
need a point guard.
Lonzo would love to be in New York. Lonzo's
Yeah,
dad would love him to be in New York.
yeah. We're gonna
Um,
keep going because I already like saw it in my head already. You know how I am
yeah,
with my reads,
I
and
didn't want to say it. I wasn't
I
gonna
didn't
say it.
like.
I wasn't gonna
I
say it.
became slightly sad because of the cap that we had to spend on it. But please
And
continue.
I mean, usually me, I'm on the Rockets train, but I
I know,
wouldn't even
but
want him to. Yeah,
no. I mean,
I'm
it
thinking
would
more.
still work in
It
Houston,
would.
though.
It would be interesting. But that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. If you are listening to the sound of our voices, that means you're listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform. But for whatever reason, if you have any issues, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com, where you'll be able to find this episode as well as all of our previous episodes. Be sure to tune in next week, as we should have some games that have been closed. Well, actually, all the games should have been
All the
closed
games will
out
be
by
closed
then.
out.
On Monday, we'll be recapping who's moving on, who's not, and why. We'll be back with more actual Dark Side of the Ring next week, which should be awesome as well.
Yes, we're
But be sure to
concluding the uh, part one of
first,
season 3.
yep, part one. But be sure to have a great weekend and tune in next week for more analysis, more news, and the reads.
25